able to see? Are you guys able to see that document?
Is it the one that says STR registration form working version?
No, it's not.
Okay, what's it called again? I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure it should be called registration of short-term rental properties. If there's a date, I'll probably the last time.
You're saying that it's in the drive, or was it sent as an email?
It's in the drive.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see that one. There's an STR classification cheat sheet document that was uploaded at 6:33.
That was from me, Jane.
Okay.
And then there's the, this thing.
It's a proposed STR solution with the spreadsheet.
Yeah. And I think that.
And that's all I see too, is the one modified at
Proposed.
40 proposed STR solutions as a sheet. And then there are some Microsoft Word documents, the STR classification cheat sheet, the Sun Valley Community Association guest regulations, and then the STR registration form working version.
And the sharing and
Thank you so much.
It'll be a long night.
all right, I'm gonna send you an invite to the email for everybody. Maybe you just need to get an email for it.
I'm an only child, what do you want from me?
Only over 3.
No.
Well, then why didn't you bring something?
Okay, I just sent an email.
Okay.
Share.
I'm just joking.
I do have a share.
I'm just waiting for that to come through. Okay, I see it now. Registration of short-term rental properties.
There we go.
Okay. Yes, this is everything we've talked about, everything that I've read from our legal advice. So the actual, if we start at the top, you have a copy of this. The actual part of the big part of this is just sort of enacting this our new policies and getting people registered. So based on what I've and I talked to the GM about this too to get a little advice. How to get people registered. That's what this first topic is. And we did talk about how I'll probably not have to talk to Rob on it in NNE to sort of get some advice on how to get the word out to people. But from what I've heard, post it in the views, postcards, e-blast, and also board announcements to let people know that, when we do enact this to get people registered. So people will know that they need to be registered. And to get people to actually do this, a 6-month free registration period, which I think is fair, just get people on the books. And then probably a penalty if they don't register within that time. And then after that 6 months is elapsed, there's just going to be a registration fee for anybody, any new registrants. So I think that's pretty much, I think, part one of what we need to do is just to make this a thing that people are aware of. Get people registered. Anything that we talk about beyond that is worthless until we actually get these people.
Point here, online listing of Sun Valley STR properties. Showing,
Yeah,
Yeah,
No.
that's a good idea.
yeah,
I mean, there may be an issue with admin, maybe it's an extra cost, I mean, just to maintain that. But I think I would much rather that they rented to people in our neighborhood than just
Yeah.
somebody else.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would like to know where. Like,
You guys are cutting in and out. I don't know if there's an issue with the Wi-Fi or something, but
I'm experiencing that too, Anthony, that I think I see you and hear you, but the library seems to be cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, would you shut the fan off?
Yeah.
It may be the fan, we're gonna shut that off now.
Okay.
This microphone's generally pretty good.
Solid connection, so I don't think.
Whole lot, that was, it was loud. We were just talking about and registration where people can see which STRs are available and perhaps make it we were talking about how we would rather that people rented from rented to people in Sudden Valley than maybe elsewhere. So this would be a nice option to get people interested in registering and also to sort of help the community and be aware of where these rentals are. Do you have
my only concern with that is we had a little bit of anger. I worry about vigilantism, I guess, in the community. We had to call the sheriff out to one particular board meeting because we had a heated individual who was unable to control himself. I don't mind advertising on the platform, but I worry about putting a list out there. These are all the STRs. And then we have people out there, well, I'm going to go find these and I'm going to cause problems with these people. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
That's my only concern with that.
Would you be interested in doing something like that?
I mean, I don't think I would volunteer my house on that just for that reason, because there's one individual who was pretty irate. It was enough for the board to call the sheriff out to the next meeting.
What if you only had the information you would actually put on Airbnb? Or is that
I mean, I think that's fine. If you wanted to just list, without addresses, maybe.
that's true. Could we make a connection to a listing?
Yeah.
Do they give you like a list? Well, they have a listing number, like on Airbnb, right? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because Airbnb doesn't have address, so I think that's a valid point, not
Yeah.
to list the addresses.
just that there's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath,
I think that would be good, to say, and
safe
check,
house,
check this one, check whatever the other one is, there's Airbnb, and then there's the other one, you say,
VRBO?
Fairview, check these, and this is the listing number on that. So I think with that, how does that sound, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to see how it works in practice, but that sounds a lot better than the other way.
Yeah,
I think as long as people can just opt themselves in, it's not like a default opt-in. Maybe that makes sense. If people want to have to give people who are local in Sudden Valley the opportunity to keep it all within the family, I guess, as it were. That's like if people want to opt into that, I can see that being a great opportunity for people. But I don't see that would necessarily be the default.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and I will say that I've had pretty good luck with renting to people in Sudden Valley on the platform. I mean, I've had a lot of our residents reach out to me and rent. So there is an interest there.
What would you think about if we did, we say we get 100 people registered, whatever it is, if we had just a listing and maybe there's some people could put as much information as they wanted. It wouldn't have to include all the information, but all of them would be listed there. Maybe, rental number 1, no information available. I'm not sure if that's helpful. The community might want to see that, how many are out there. But would that be an issue, Anthony? if you, maybe you just, hey, you had your rental there, your rental number 25, but
But you're not listing your property per se
yeah.
on there. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I think people want to know how many are out there.
You know, and I would need to check, maybe we should check. If information regarding rentals, like if this registration is gonna be open to the community. For example, Michael, if you wanted to know all our residents, you could go to the admin and you could request a list of the names and addresses of all the residents here. That's, they will give it to you, they have to give it to you, you have a right to it.
I've asked them for public
You-
information.
you do
before,
have a right to
and
it.
they denied it.
You have a right to it, I've gotten it several times, you can get it, they should not be denying it, they denied it, it was wrong.
But they did.
So, knowing that we do have access to a lot of our documents, I don't know currently if we have access to the leases on file. I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know. So we would also want to find out from Michael. Probably, I'm guessing he would have the information. If anything we do with the rentals, the information we gather is also going to be open for members to request records of. We should find that out.
Yeah,
It's not gonna affect what we do, it's something we should find out. I'll ask Michael.
And if we're not doing addresses, can we do gates?
yeah, I think just some information that, you know,
Yeah.
will determine what has to be there, or if maybe nothing has to be there.
Yeah,
But I think that it would be nice to have sort of a repository for all this.
and I'm gonna continue to suggest that one of the requirements be that they be compliant with state and county regulations.
Yeah, I think,
That was,
I think that's in our.
that's all in the registration form, I
Yeah.
thought. We didn't list all the regulations, we just said that they needed to be compliant with.
Right,
And I will. Should send a letter to the county requesting notice of any application that's submitted for any address in Sun Valley.
okay, and that would be part of. I guess that would be part of the registration form, yeah.
I think that's just something I think that's just something that our admin,
I mean, not the form, but the process of actually enacting it.
yeah.
Really could do that now. There's nothing to stop that little piece from happening now.
Mm-mm.
Because then it will give us any future information.
I don't know if there's anything keeping any individual here from requesting it, is there?
No, it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
It's public information.
I mean, you could ask for it.
What the county will do is, if there's an application for a conditional use permit, within this area, any property within 1,000 feet of that property will be notified.
So we would need.
But
So,
really all it is what you're asking for is just for the county to proactively notify us when someone's getting ready to do that. We don't
Yes.
have anything to do with anything that happens
No.
after that.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just-
but then
a
we have the
notification.
option of participating.
Yeah.
In that process.
Yes,
Okay,
and that is the type of, one of the types of rentals we were worried about, right? Because that only applies to the Whatcom County vacation rentals.
Right.
They're the only ones that have to get conditional use permits. And those are the ones where the owner's not present, so those are the ones that we're most concerned about.
Yeah.
It's saying the connection's fine.
Hello?
I think we've lost them. They're not answering.
Still
Oh,
here.
was there a question?
I just wanted to make sure you guys could still hear us.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
it
hear
cuts-
that part.
Yeah, it cuts out periodically for like 4 seconds at a time, but then it comes back.
Yeah, we're fully connected, but I think there's something up with the internet here in the library, but we're still all connected, so.
Still
Yeah.
here.
All right, we'll do our best.
Voluntary registration, but we can always provide numbers to anybody who asks
Mhm.
how many there actually are, as long as we're not giving out their locations. We can always still say. Yes, we have this voluntary listing, but just so you know, if you wanna know, there's 10 in gate 5 and, whatever, that's not secret information.
Okay, and at the bottom, I have, what we're gonna do, consistently after this is all in place. Have a repository for information about our policies for short-term rentals, and
Mhm.
that may be where they have this
Yeah.
listed too. So
For
that's,
example, if there are 100 total in Sun Valley, and we learn that 80 of them are in Group 1. That tells you something.
Yeah.
I think people would be very interested in that.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I've done a little bit of research, guys, and I can tell you there's not 100 in Sudden Valley. There's only 110 according to Air DNA in all of 98229 area code. So
According to
Maybe.
who, Anthony?
yes,
According to who?
Air DNA is a company that provides statistical information for people that want to Airbnb their properties.
What's the name of, sorry, you blanked out. What's the name of the organization?
Called Air DNA.
Air DNA. Thanks for finding that.
That's,
Yeah, no problem.
And what's in 98229 other than?
It's out of 3,100, roughly 3,119 homes, 3,121, whatever it is,
they're probably all living around Mark.
Yeah.
The purpose policy looks good.
Yeah, I got
Mhm.
part of that was from our legal advice, and the other part was from the board's sort of
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
So I think that states it pretty
Mhm.
eloquently right there. And I think that needs to be clear to everybody in this whole process. The
Yeah.
owners, maybe even the renters, but definitely our residents. In the process of registration. This is just sort of nuts and bolts, what you have to do. It's gonna be, fill out the registration form, which I've got a link to, what we have at this point. Which is, I think, pretty much where it needs to be. There are some comments on there that we could either just hand it over to admin at this point. And have them look over it and clean it up a little bit, or if anybody else wants to do some more editing, they can do that. But I think it's in a pretty good place right now.
Oh, I think Ariel, you had that point about, should we be asking people if they are owner occupied or not occupied during the rental period?
Right.
That was a good thing, if that's something we can do.
But I think you put that in the
Yeah.
registration form, right? It's in there already.
Yeah, I suggested it as an edit. I don't know if it got officially accepted.
Okay. Well, the comment, I guess, would at least still be there, so,
Yeah, that was good.
but I think that was a good comment. So that, at this point, if anybody wants to keep working on that, that's fine, but I'm considering that pretty much finished. Is that consensus?
Mhm.
The registration form, is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. I saw that new addition, check one, owner occupied or non-owner occupied. My only question is, what if you have somebody that periodically does both? How are they going to fill that out?
I guess they could check both.
So we just take out the check one area?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like though you're either, I mean, do we want to go based on the definition of like, if you stay 183 plus days, you're owner occupied, and if that's like your primary residence in that case. And if you're less than that, then you're using it more as a short-term rental than you are your primary residence. Does that make a difference? Because now it's been a few weeks since we put that in, and I'm having a hard time remembering what that changes. If someone is owner occupied and I guess they don't require a conditional use permit, is that right?
So
It
if
also
you're
Washington state classification.
Maybe it could just be two, like owner occupied more than 180 days, owner or whatever the number is, or owner occupied less than.
I don't think we even need to know, because maybe I'm mistaking what the purpose of this is, but to me, the only reason we would need that information, since we are not the legal entity controlling whether they're you know, legally an STR under Washington State or Whatcom County, is that for our purposes, it's nice to know if there's a problem. Is the owner living there at that time also, or is the owner absent?
Well, is the
during that?
owner allowed, if the owner's living there, that means they would only be renting out part of their house, and are they even allowed to do that?
I think we established that they are allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right, Anthony? That was your whole discovery of all of that, was that they are in fact allowed to rent out a room in their house, and it does not then constitute a vacation rental.
Correct, correct.
They could do that for short-term rentals?
But only,
No, they can do it for short term.
Yeah, you can rent out, if you're living in the house and there while it's being rented out, you can rent up to 3 rooms, and then you are excluded from the definition of vacation rental under the Whatcom County zoning regulations, and you don't require a conditional use permit.
But that's only
there's so much.
only if you identify the property as your primary residence, or only if your physical body is also in the house while the other people are there.
The way I read it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read it is that if the person was there.
Which, like,
Two different things. There's whether the person resides in the house for a certain amount of time and whether they're there when the person's present. If you look at that cheat sheet I put in there, there's basically 6 scenarios, 6 combinations of what can happen. And which ones are regulated by Washington State or Whatcom County, which ones are not. And I guess my question would be, what difference does it make to us? To me, the only difference is if there's a problem and we know the owner's there, would we react differently? But otherwise, why do we need to know that? Because we're not gonna be the legal entity tracking them down and making sure that they have paid their taxes or whatever, right?
well, I think it was if the person is there, then that no longer is a vacation rental, and they no longer need the the conditional use permit. That's why we have those check boxes there.
Yes, I totally get that, but are we responsible for making sure they have the conditional use permit?
No, I wouldn't think we would be, and on our form, we're asking them for their contact and an alternate contact, so. I don't think we care if they're there or not. Do we? As long as there's somebody to contact, and if we call them and they're not there, we call the alternate, and then we can't get in touch with them, then we're concerned.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really care if they're there or in Alaska.
We're really not here to we're not here to be the
The police.
short-term rental
Yeah.
police. We
Right.
just want to make sure
Right.
that if something happens, that we know who to
Right, we can get in
contact.
touch with somebody like ASAP, and that's,
So maybe we don't need that then, as long as we have our 24-hour contact.
yeah.
Well, I think that was put in there because we were requiring the conditional use permit, but if it is an owner occupied space, they don't need to have a conditional use permit. That was the point.
Don't we just put in conditional use permit if applicable though, and it's up to them to know if it is or not, or to follow through or whatever? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is eventually down the line, are we gonna start turning people into the county if they don't have a conditional use permit?
I would expect so.
But then
That's their-
again, the concern about, well, is the county even enforcing this? Because as Anthony has
Well-
pointed out, he's the only one that's got
Right.
a non-compliance piece, that thing, and then nobody else has a conditional use permit, which I do want to say too. I actually was trying to call the planning department today to get some information about this, but I found on the fee schedule that the conditional use permit that's required for the watershed overlay area, which is a conditional use permit type 3, it costs well over $6,000 to actually get this permit. So, I mean, it would make sense that if people even had this information accessible, maybe they do know it and they're just not applying for this conditional use permit because it's so expensive. But it was really difficult to find this document too. So I'm just not even sure if people are knowingly like trying to evade this, or if they just don't even know, let alone how long this process even takes, which calls into question that 6-month interim period where we say, you know, you got 6 months to get this permit, but if it's going to take 12 months to get the permit, then what's happening there?
Yeah, I guess I just don't see it as our responsibility to make sure that people do the things they're supposed to do by law. Because we don't have any enforcement action to take other than calling up the county and saying this house doesn't have one, but again, like Lori or whoever it was said, they're not even. I don't even know that they even have a process set up to really do it yet, do they?
Yeah.
Or they do, is,
Conditional use permit,
But are they-
that's a process that's been running for years.
but for the
Is there-
short-term rental part or the vacation rental part, are
The-
they actually doing it? Or are people walking in and they're like, I don't know.
Well.
Well, this law,
Given the planning department, I don't know.
didn't this law get put in place sometime in late 2023? So I'm just not sure if they must have some framework for it. Otherwise, I don't know how they would have enacted this law without plans to actually uphold it. But I mean, it's in here and the fee description is all itemized out on here and it says 2025 fee.
Well, how about if we just start and we don't ask it first, and then when all of these people are gonna have to re-register in a year. And then maybe we will have a better system in place of what is our board gonna do about it, or our general manager gonna do about it if somebody doesn't have a.
Yeah, I think, again, our first purpose is to get people registered, and under the process of registration, I have a packet that we would give them. And one of the things under the packet would be rules and regulations, and the top one reminds them that they're responsible for all state registration and taxes. So that's as far as we need to go. I don't think we're gonna get, we don't want to get too deep into that, especially not right now.
But we could say and
The
county
thing is-
regulations.
So then is there even a point to having a conditional use permit line on the sheet? Anyway, if we have no way to enforce it, like, you know, they could put anything there then. Or they
Maybe
could
they'll
put
say,
nothing.
oh, do I need a conditional use?
I don't see why-
Say, yes, you
I
do.
don't think we need to take it out. I think it's nice to have. If they want to volunteer that information, that's great.
Right.
That's fine. I just have an enforcement question on that. So let's say, for instance, I get this form and I look at it and I say, well, I don't need a conditional use permit because I have the what is it, a confirmation of use. Yeah.
Unconforming.
So if I say this, well, I'm going to leave that blank because I don't need that and I'm going to continue operating. Am I going to get dinged for not complying with the registration then because I didn't put that information in there?
Well, that's
'Cause if-
right. You're totally
That's the
right. So it's like, there's no way for whoever is going through these applications to know whether you left it blank because you don't have it, or you left it blank because you don't feel that you need it. In which, I mean, in either scenario, there's no enforcement, like, way to enforce
What
it.
we could do is ask the question, do you have a conditional use permit from the county? And we could have 3 optional answers, yes, no, or not applicable.
So by
I mean,
no, they admit that they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Oh.
Unless they don't need
Right.
But
Then they would say not applicable.
yeah, which would, you know, for someone who's got it already
Mhm.
and who had it before.
So basically you need yes and not applicable. Those should be their only choices.
Mhm.
But no matter what someone puts in that check mark box, I don't see how whoever gets these applications is gonna, that changes the trajectory of what happens in any event. Even if it says yes, if it says no, if it says not applicable, it's kind of like, well, I don't know what the answer is supposed to be for this person. So it's like not useful information.
Right, because we can't enforce it and we can't keep them from renting their house out if they don't have it.
If we can't enforce it, then what are we doing here?
I mean, it's like,
Well,
We can't enforce
that
that.
information can be useful. It's not necessary. I think, it sounds like we could take out the type of STR and instead put the check boxes for, you know, whether you have it, whether you don't have it, that kind of thing. Is that? Yeah. Is that how you feel, Ariel?
Uh,
Get rid of the type of STR use and ask for the 3 options for conditional use permit.
So.
Well, I, if, I mean, I don't think it's problematic to have the line of what number, what your conditional use permit is. But it sounds like whether or not they need it, whether it doesn't apply to them, whether it's owner occupied or not, that doesn't change the course of action that happens after receiving this short-term rental application. It sounds like it gets filed under the same thing and nobody's coming after anybody, whether they say yes, no, or not applicable anyway. And no one's going to verify the short-term use permit number either. So I guess it's just, I guess it just, everything starts to kind of unravel at that point too, of like, well, if none of it's enforceable, then what are we doing, like you all said? So
It's not enforceable by us, but if it turns out that they're not registered by the county or the state, then it can be give us some leverage to make things right.
and so would that just be leverage in the event that their short-term rental starts causing problems and now there's some type of collateral?
I
Or
think
is
so.
it something else? Is it like, is there then a follow-up of like, well, they either said not applicable or
I don't think we would ever have a problem with whether they registered or not. That's a county or state thing. But I think that if we told the state that we have no record of them and asked the state, are they registered?
so is there someone who's going to be doing that?
Well, I mean, we can't think about compliance for everything, but this is stuff we can put out there, whether they have compliance mechanisms or not. That's, that's not our concern really. At this point, just getting information is what we want to do.
But the thing is, if we know that they should be registered, and then we know that they're not registered, we're liable.
No,
don't
no, we're not liable.
You-
We're a
you-
homeowners
that's-
association, we're not,
We wouldn't.
we're not a government
we wouldn't
entity.
know either way. We're
Uh-uh.
just.
I don't know if we
collecting
have homeowners
information. And this
insurance.
this is all gonna.
I don't know if
be
you're paying property
is all
tax, I
legal.
can find out, but it's not the association's duty to know that. Or to enforce that.
I'm not saying enforce, I'm just saying allow it, knowing that it's not allowed.
Okay, so let's just say you have a mortgage on your home,
Yeah.
okay? And your part of your mortgage says that you have to have homeowners insurance.
Yep.
The association doesn't care if you have homeowners insurance. Well, it's really not. It's like we are not enforcing the conditional use permit is something between the owner of the home who's renting their house out and the county,
Mhm.
not us and the county and the homeowner. So we can't be held liable for not enforcing something that we're not supposed to be
How
enforcing.
about this scenario?
But we're not liable for it.
How about this scenario? The guy starts a short-term rental without any conditional use permit. And he's gone through all of our application process. And so we know he doesn't have a conditional use permit. And then one of his neighbors files a complaint with the county.
Okay,
And then the homeowner says, well, I told the association and they said,
then let's not ask for it.
I don't think.
If there's any if there's a liability, if there's any thought
This-
of us having a liability by knowing or not knowing that information, then it's best we not
I
know.
would say.
Don't ask.
I would say we
Get
would
rid of
leave
it.
it in at this point, but again, this is all gonna be looked at
Mhm.
from legal. They're gonna tell us this is problematic or.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
how-
really, the only thing we want to know is, are you renting out your house? Are you on property or are you away? And do you have somebody else who's managing your property while you're away? That's all we want to know. Cause we're responsible,
We don't know if it's legal.
No, we don't. Do you wanna know what I do in my house is legal? I mean, everything in the house is legal, but I mean, but seriously,
If it impacts me, yes.
but how is a short-term rental in a gate far, far away impacting you?
It would
But
impact
it's-
his neighbors.
His neighbors,
Yes.
then his neighbors can complain to the county.
Yes, and then.
But that's
again,
not
the
up to
homeowner
the
says, I went to the association and I filled out their forms and they said it was okay.
So the attorney will.
Well, we
I think we need to
Yeah.
have an attorney. This we can
But
we
it-
can go
it's
through
just
100
not-
scenarios.
It's just like, we cannot take the association as a body. Cannot insert itself into what a person does in their home. Soon, we're not gonna be able to say you can't have an adult daycare home. Soon, we're gonna say you can't run a child daycare home in your house. Soon, that's all gonna be. The
Why?
associations have no, because of the laws changing, going into effect that change. So it's like we can't, as a homeowners association, you gotta not think of it as individual homeowners. This is something we're putting together for the Sudden Valley Community Association, a homeowners association, a separate entity. Cannot tell you, a homeowner, what you can and can't do in your home. We can't tell you you can't have child pornography on your computer. We can't tell you that you can't grow over.
Who can't wait?
Oh.
Sun Valley can't? Or...
Sudden, the homeowner association.
No,
We
yeah.
can't interject ourselves into people's private homes and private lives. If they are doing, we're getting into ourselves
Well,
where when we start policing it, that's when we're introducing liability.
Well,
Okay, then there's
I-
a question. Why are we getting this information? I mean, what is the purpose
So-
of us getting this?
So that when something happens, or if there's a noise complaint, or if there's a parking complaint, or if there's tenants behaving badly, we know who to contact. We know where their contact information is. Because if they're listed in our database as that's their home address, and we don't have, like maybe their phone number, we should have their phone number, but who knows, people change their phone numbers all the time. It might not tell the association, things like that. We just want to know when we have people behaving badly, we know who to contact to rectify that situation as soon as possible.
All right, well, I think the way we can't decide at this point. This is something definitely that we need run by legal. I can see the value in gathering this information, but if it's gonna be a problem, if it
Yeah, we can
complicates things.
put it down there, and if they want to put it there, they can, but if
there
they
may be a
don't,
description
we can't
underneath.
force them. We can't say you didn't fill out this form, you didn't fill out every single thing. Therefore, we cannot say you cannot have.
But as a
A
group
rental.
here, can we agree that it would probably be helpful information if there's no legal problems at all?
Do we have what?
I don't have a problem putting it on the form. It all it
Yeah.
does is gather information.
It's
It
just-
does not mean we have to act on it. It doesn't mean we're liable if
Exactly.
they put something on there and they didn't do what they're supposed to with the county or the state. That's not, it doesn't matter.
And honestly, if we get the form back, if we really wanted to do due diligence, we would check with the county and see if they have one.
Mhm.
If we really wanted to do due diligence, because somebody can write this down here.
The problem with that is that means you also have to know, is the owner present during the rental? Are you gonna go to their house and ring their doorbell and see if they're there? Because if they're present, they are not a Whatcom County vacation rental and they do not need a conditional use.
Right.
So that's another way, we're not responsible for their compliance. We can ask them for the
Right.
conditional use permit. Maybe it'll trigger something in their head. It's like, "God, I wonder if this is something I'm supposed to have."
So you could just say, do you have one?
We could just say conditional use permit if applicable.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have to even
Because we
ask
don't know if they
them.
need one or not.
At the very least, to remind me that you have to be compliant with county.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went down here where it says, or where it says state tax and registration, I would just say all state, county, or county, state and federal requirements or registry or regulation or whatever. Just make it really, really broad, because again, it's like you just have to watch it. Like if you booked a trip from me, it's not my responsibility to make sure your passport's valid. It's your responsibility to make sure your passport's valid. Right?
Yeah.
So kind of, it's just like,
Thing is, if my passport's not valid, I'm not getting on the plane.
right? So you better make sure it's valid. You're a grown adult.
Well,
right?
but that goes along with this, if.
Right, so they need to make sure there's valve.
Shouldn't be able to let the place out.
But
But
that's
those
not,
people
but that's
have
for
the-
the county to shut them down, not
Yes.
for us to shut them
Yeah.
down. We can't come in
We're
here
not a government
as
agency.
acting on behalf or appear to be acting upon the behalf of a government entity. We would be overstepping our bounds
The
there.
only thing we would do is talk to the county and find out.
We
you
can
know,
tattle
do you
on
have
them.
any information? Do you have information on these people? And that the county would take over. We don't, we're just,
Mhm.
we would inquire, and if they want their money, they will.
I mean, if we want
pursue.
to, we can give them a turn over a list of all of our short-term rentals and say, here you go, you can check.
But if we know that information in advance, while they're going to get the condition permit, then we have the opportunity to participate in that process.
You're going back to the letter. If the county notifies us that someone has applied for a conditional use permit,
Yeah,
if we can ask them if they will let us know.
Yeah.
Then we can make sure that neighbors are, I mean, the neighbors will be notified either way, even if we don't know anything about it.
yeah.
All the notifications will go out regardless
Cause
of
they have to go out right now anyway, right?
if someone applies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They get to that
I think that's a really good step for
I
our
can tell
initial
you that there's
registration.
at least 3 short-term rentals within 1,000 feet of my home, and I have never gotten a notice.
But we still
But
don't
they-
know.
were they
yeah, but we
required
don't
to
know if
have
they're
a-
grandfather?
They could have been grandfathered, they could have not be renting it, not falling under the vacation rental definition. There's a lot of,
Well, they could be breaking the law.
or they could be breaking the law. We need, they
Why
need
don't
to.
You can,
Why don't you call up the
Yeah,
county
you
and
can
ask
ask
them?
I did that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And
And what happened? Nothing?
County numbers one.
Well, yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, it's up to them to get the money that is owed them. If they know there's some money out there, they're gonna.
Mhm.
All right, so.
Can I change
Okay.
the subject for 1 minute? I wanna talk about this fire extinguisher requirement.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay,
You-
I just have one small thing to
Go
say.
ahead, man.
There's gonna be a very unusual aspect if somebody is building a new house with the intent of using it for short-term rentals. And if they're building a new house for that purpose, I think that instead of fire extinguishers, we should have fire suppression throughout the house. We should require that.
No, we can't do that.
No, yeah.
There's no way.
The only reason I put fire extinguisher is because, I mean, we do live in Sun Valley. It's scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that come here to rent, short term, they don't know.
Mhm.
It's scary. I
understand
think
that.
that's a very reasonable thing to ask.
Well,
Yeah, putting
I
in fire
think it is-
suppressions in a house, you're talking 5, if not 6 figures. You can't, a homeowners association cannot make a resident do something to the inside of their house. You can have, if they don't want drywall inside their house, they don't have to have drywall inside their house. Or if they want to rip it off after they move, we can't do anything about it. If they want to cover it wall to wall with Black Sabbath posters, we can't do anything. It's their house. It's
You've never
inside
been
their
to a
house.
Cultural Control Committee meeting, yeah.
That's the outside of their house.
All right, well, either way, if that is a good idea or not, that's probably not for now, but
I'll just
I
say,
get your
we
point.
did that in the corner.
yeah, I mean, I get your point, and I can see that, but I do see that that's a little bit of
You were
overreach.
government agencies, you have a lot of control.
Yeah, that's true.
So are we on to the short-term rental gas regulation? This is the one you put online, right?
Yeah, the link that I have here.
I just printed a copy of it. Is that this one?
Yeah. I think you added that, right? Didn't you?
I think I added the feeding of deer thing, or maybe you have the declared wildlife and bird sanctuary part, right? I think I just added the feeding of deer is prohibited.
Oh, okay.
You already have the use of firecrackers and fireworks is prohibited, or was that, did I add that in there?
I can't remember when
Okay.
who added that.
And then you said something about this first section was, I don't have the notes, so.
Yeah, I thought
the
that,
section was-
I thought that was one of the things that Linda had redacted from our original bylaws, just because they were, I don't know, irrelevant or redundant. I can't remember why, but I'll double check that.
Yeah,
Do you feel like it's important to be in there if it is part of?
no, I just figured we would put in whatever our stuff says, I mean,
Okay.
that seems like.
Yeah,
the
I may have
safest-
copied from a new version.
I do have one question though. I was talking to Barbara about this today. You know, sometimes people talk about quiet hours. We do not have any provision in our rules for quiet hours for residents and guests. We have contractor quiet hours, and maybe there's like one thing about homeowners using like equipment outside or something.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that says people have to be quiet after like 10 o'clock at night.
I thought there was.
I could not find it.
Yeah.
So
It would
if that-
default to the county.
What?
It would default to the county rules.
Well, we can make stricter rules than the county.
Yeah, I mean, but if we don't have any,
What are the county rules?
I don't know.
I was hoping you would help.
I'm honestly, I'm not up late enough to care.
So I'm just wondering if we can have a rule that says that, you know, residential quiet hours are like 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. or something like that, or 11 p.m. or whatever. I think some places have it written where it's like if your activities or conversation can be heard beyond the lot lines after 10 p.m. or like whatever. I'm sure there's things other organizations have already done along those lines that we could look at, but.
Yeah, I thought that was even in this document too, but I guess not.
You did include here part of what I guess came from Bellingham, must not include weddings, banquets, parties, charitable fundraising, or other gatherings for direct or indirect compensation. The intent of short-term rentals is to provide transient accommodations and allow for limited accessory uses. And that those limited uses would be consistent with typical residential uses that are allowed. If that's what the city says.
I believe that's where I got that one. I didn't make that up. I got that either from Bellingham or,
Yeah,
but it makes sense. I wouldn't want somebody to have a big party, but if it's just regular residential use, that's fine. But if they go beyond it and have, you know,
Yeah.
big parties, I'd
Well,
like to get that.
One of the reasons I brought up the quiet things, because that is literally one of the problems that Mark says they deal with the most, is that people aren't necessarily being disruptive. You don't want to call and say, we're having a big party, but it's just that at 10 o'clock at night, you want to go
Yeah.
to bed and your windows are open and people are yakking on the deck next door. So if that's a rule change the board would consider,
We do have it in this right now, but it doesn't have times.
you have it in where?
Yeah, but it has nothing,
It's the bottom of the first page of the registration, guest
Oh, effective
regulations.
quiet enjoyment, limited to excessive noise. So like, what
But
does
we
that
could make
mean?
that time.
You know, I mean, what does excessive noise mean? Like a party? Because somebody might say, well, it's not excessive noise. We're just sitting out here talking, but
but
in
there,
Sun Valley, you can hear somebody talking the other side of Lake Louise.
Yeah.
And if that's happening at 10 or 11, 12 o'clock at night.
I can
it's-
tell you that summer before last, one of the property owners who has a house right on the park in Gate 1. They did a large deck. They hosted a concert.
oh my goodness.
That definitely does
That's what I'm
not,
talking about.
definitely does not go with the quiet enjoyment.
We all brought chairs and sat around and listened to the music. It was great.
Okay, what if it had been Black Sabbath?
Depends what-
It was okay because you like
This is
the
an
music,
honor,
right?
honor.
I'm just saying- I'm just saying that.
Yeah, what if it was Ozzy?
And this is not a short-term rental. This is a guy who lives there.
I think that we could probably clarify that paragraph a little
If
bit.
any of this results in me being banned from doing my Christmas lights,
No one's. Well, your music
Do
can
they have
only be heard
music?
through your phone, right?
it can be heard through, we have an outdoor speaker.
Well, you better turn it off by 10.
We turn off everything off by 9.
Oh, see that.
There are homeowners associations that limit the amount of time you can have your lights up.
Mhm. Mine are still up.
We're not there yet.
The other question I have is about the pet regulations. We do not have very good written pet regulations because Whatcom County says under control is on a leash.
Well, we have that here, don't we? I mean.
It says Whatcom County dogs under control at all times, but if for me, what I would say is. If your dog is off your property and is not in an off leash designated area, your dog must be on a
On a
leash.
leash.
Because when people say, well, he's under control, well, he's on the other side of the street. Yeah, he'll come if you call him, but is that under control? So, I mean, I think that's something that the association needs to address at some point.
Was that included in your comments?
I don't think I put anything, no.
Okay. Could I have you
Yeah.
clarify for the noise and for the dog
Sure,
on that?
yeah. Do that.
Because I totally agree.
And I know in Sudden Valley, the regulations are no more than 2 pets in a house. Now, I also know it's not enforced. However, it does say that in, because I remember when I was moving here,
Yeah.
reading that, and going,
It does, yeah.
wow, okay, fortunately, I only have a bunny rabbit, so,
And it's already there, so we could make that,
but that's there.
yeah. And I
You know
think,
what?
I think that's
did-
in this,
I
isn't
think
it?
I did put the all dogs must be unleashed thing. I think I added that with a comment, because it looks like it's lighter print here. I think I wrote 3 designated, there's actually 4.
Or,
There's the regular dog park, the small dog park, the airfield, and the campground. So there's 4 designated.
Oh, is the airfield actually Sun Valley?
Yeah, the airfield belongs to some of that.
Oh, okay.
off leash area.
So under the pet regulations here,
Just to clarify, it does say 2 pets, the last line in here does say 2 pets.
Okay, good.
Go ahead.
And what I'm saying is
Oh, yeah,
that we can
that's good.
enforce, because that's in the Sudden
Yeah.
Valley
Yeah.
rules.
One of my neighbors,
So-
3 dogs and 2 cats.
Yeah, well, I said it's not enforced, but it is in there.
Okay.
So
They
if somebody
also
wanted
use their
to,
first floor for a short-term rental.
I'm sorry, what?
They also use their first floor for a short-term rental.
Yeah.
All kinds of
But they were
problems.
great people.
Are they registered with the county? Are they paying their taxes?
I have no
What
idea.
is,
They moved to Texas last year.
what does this currently SSP thing mean? It says turned over to the Whatcom County contractor, currently SSP.
You know, I don't know. This came right out of the
Okay.
bylaws.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out.
any dog found
Did you have something, Lori?
currently it's
Wouldn't it be
it's the
the,
Walking Humane Society.
yeah, that's what.
Yeah. So this pet regulations, did you take this directly out of something?
Yeah,
Out of Whatcom County or
out of our bylaws.
out of our bylaws? Okay.
Except for the part that I added
Oh,
in
regular.
about being on leash. You
Because
can
it
see
says
that.
off leash. It says dogs are under control, so it's the under control.
Yeah, but if you look up Whatcom County, I'm pretty sure that I read that
But
they're,
one of the bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 says all dogs must be on leash when in Sun Valley and off the rental property, excepting the 3.
I put
designated.
that in there.
You added that,
Yeah,
okay.
That's why it should be highlighted or have something that shows.
It doesn't.
Does yours show any highlight?
I think you might have put that in a comment and I think I.
Oh, maybe there was a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I added.
It is in the comment too, but that's, okay, so,
Okay, yeah, so that was just.
got it. So you did that, okay. That's what I was like, why am I seeing off? I'm seeing leash in there a lot.
Let me look up the Washington County Dog Patrol. Let's
Sudden Valley doesn't have a leash requirement except in off leash areas, I don't we?
We do.
We do.
If you're outside of, if you're off your property, you need to have your dog on a leash.
Right,
But the problem is the rules just say it's considered a dog control zone, because that refers back to Whatcom County's laws, so then someone's gonna look up Whatcom County's laws to see what a dog control zone is.
Right, yeah.
That's why I think it needs to be more
It
clear,
needs to be more specific.
yeah.
Can I ask something unrelated?
You look off leash park.
Yeah, go ahead, Ariel.
You know, off
Sorry.
leash parks.
Walking down the street,
Yeah.
your dogs should
I'm curious about how interested we are in people who are going to see this short-term rental snafu and say, okay, I'm just going to switch to renting my place to 30 plus days. So that then opens the door to this kind of midterm rental scenario where it's not, there may not be like a year-long lease kind of a person in there, but there may be Airbnb people who are staying for just 30 days or just 60 days. What provisions do we have for that, and do we care about that? I know that we talked briefly about the long-term rental just kind of not being as big of a concern for us as the transient kind of 1 to 2 to 3 night people that come in and out. But what if this now incites a whole new group of people that are like, okay, don't want to deal with conditional use permit, I'll just put a 30 night minimum on Airbnb. And now you have a bunch of people that are renting on Furnished Finder for 1 to 3 months at a time, or Airbnb for 30 days at a time.
Then a copy of the lease would need to be turned in to the association with every new renter.
But with Airbnb, if you're just renting it to them for 30 days, there's no lease required. It's just a 30-day, it's just a long-term rental.
I think there is one required.
Our bylaws state that our bylaws right now currently state, if you rent your place out for 1 day or more, you are required to have a lease on file with the association.
That's what I read.
That's what our currently, that's what it says. So if you are taking money from someone to rent your house for any length of time, right now, if you are not turning in a lease to the association, you're in violation of our bylaws and subject to being fined.
When you say 1 day,
Yep.
what do you mean by that?
Our bylaws, I think it's number 7 in whatever paragraph. Don't have it in front of me, but under the paragraph under leasing, it does not specify 1 day, more than 30 days, 6 months, 1 year. It doesn't. So it's just leasing means if you are taking money for use of your property, you are leasing your property out and are subject to that paragraph. What this is trying to do is to give some relief from those who are renting out their property and who are not currently following that bylaw. This is a replacement for following that bylaw. So if they're going to do it for 30 days, 31 days, they're going to fall under that section, paragraph 7 of whatever section it is.
But
Sorry, I don't have it memorized here.
but the short-term
It is.
application doesn't, so this is a way for people not to have to provide a lease, is just submitting the short-term rental registration form?
Right.
That's, technically, we can ask for a registration for each rental. That was one of the things that the attorney stated. I'm not sure that's a path we want to take, but that is required currently.
And I think that's why you
Guys.
said, oh, sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it's section 7 of our bylaws. I have a slightly different interpretation of that. And just hear me out on this, and then we can talk about it. This is one of the reasons why I put in that form that we need to put definitions in for tenant versus transient guests. Because right now, the way our bylaws are written, it says that any member or owner may lease or otherwise transfer occupancy of any lot for residential purposes only, period. That's sentence 1. So you can rent your property. And then sentence 2 is the term tenant, as used herein, is a person whom they extend, the owner, I'm paraphrasing now, extends the use of the property through a written lease, a copy of which shall be filed with the association. So it's the definition of tenant that requires you to submit your lease to the association. And Washington defines tenant differently from transient guest. Tenants are people who lease a property long-term, 30 days or more. Transient guests are under 30 days. So that was the issue I was putting in the proposed form that I think we need to address, because I think right now it is at least unclear whether a short-term renter has to submit a lease.
So what we really need to do, and I know we tried to do this last year, is the board really needs to put on for vote at the AGM a bylaw expansion, not a new bylaw, but just redefining, like having that 7 section A, 7 section B, 7 section C, defining the different types of rentals. That's really what needs to happen. If that had happened last year, then we would have had a much easier time, because we would only be addressing the short-term rental portion of that bylaw. So we are kind of coming in, nothing really is going to be totally enforceable and matches our bylaws until that bylaw is changed.
So Anthony, what's the definition of a transient guest? Just in your words.
I don't want to misquote that. So let me go back to the RCWs to get that.
We have 15 minutes.
Yeah. I was gonna say-
Okay. Let me see if I can submit that via email rather than try and look for it here. And
We can all look it up
at-
too.
But I do know that our attorney did reiterate that, we do have that ability to ask for registration for every rental, even for one day.
And I think you, Daniel, had said we also need to remember to rename that registration form, so it doesn't say short-term rental, because short-term rental has a specific legal definition in the state of Washington, and a lot of ours are not gonna fall into that definition, but we still want to register them, I assume.
So,
So it
so
would need to be like under 30-day rental registration or something like that.
yeah, or even just do, if we are,
Or transient guest rental registration, transient.
we could just say,
Transient
it could just say
home.
registration of rental properties, take out the word short term. And for those that do provide a lease, it could just be a lease, just say a written on here, could be a written lease may be submitted in lieu of this form. Boom, covers everything.
So change the word lease to rental agreement.
No, just registration of rental properties, and then just put down a clause in here, submission of written lease agreement. May be submitted in lieu of this form.
Yeah, the interesting thing is they still have to submit contact information, right? Our rules already say that for long-term leases.
Yeah, so that would mean that that would be saying this form is for everybody who rents a property for 1 hour or more, cause you know, we might have some. No, I'm sorry. So,
We
But-
want them hourly rentals.
but if, yeah, when we have 23-hour rentals. So, and that way we're not singling out short-term rentals. If we're covering all rentals, however, we're giving those that do provide a lease, they don't have to fill this out as well.
Yeah, because there isn't anything on here that
Mm.
that's any different for someone who leases than someone who does a short-term rental.
Still need how to contact them. I think that's the biggest thing. And I mean, and really, if you really think about it, if you're a responsible homeowner and you're renting your house out, our association, your contact information will already be on file. Problem is at 3 a.m., nobody has access to that information. So I would assume that maybe once we had the short-term rental database, that might be accessible by
I
security.
have a
and
sticking
overnight.
point on the idea of using this for everybody. I just forgot what it was, so I'm looking at it again. Oh, it still doesn't, if we just say, you can either fill this form out or you can give us a lease, that doesn't really work, because then people aren't gonna, why would they give you a lease if they can just fill this out?
That's
And
true.
then we don't end up with a registration of short-term rentals, we end up with a registration that includes everybody, so I think
Yeah.
we do still have to distinguish between, we could still have the same.
So of rentals, registrations of rentals. Of 30 days
Yeah, so
or
we could
less.
say rental registration or something. I'm
30
sure somebody
days or
thinks of
less,
this wording,
yeah.
but it uses the under the 30 days thing instead.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if somebody wants to rent out their property for an hour at a time, I don't think we want to allow.
That's exactly. Or you know, the 23-hour hold like hospitals do. If they do a 23-hour hold, is that, if they're rented out for 23 hours at a time, do they not?
So can we talk about the last couple things on here real quick?
Yep.
The parking plan for one, I do know that if they are listed for Whatcom County as vacation rental, they do have a parking restriction. Which I believe is 1 parking space per bedroom. But that's
Yeah.
only the ones that fall under that.
Are you over here?
Yeah, I was just looking at your second page, see if we could get through that before we.
Yeah, I added 2 things that had something to do with parking. This is sort of the good neighbor guidelines, something you could give to neighbors, pass out to neighbors. This would be part of the packet you would get when you register. It would be, maybe a form that you can give to neighbors.
Oh, let
Including
me
bits of
see.
information.
The owner could give to their neighbors to
Yeah.
say, okay, I got it.
this is an excellent reason why we would want to have information about when somebody applies for a conditional use permit, because we could attend a meeting and ask them about their parking plan before their property gets approved.
Well, I did actually slip that into the registration. Parking. And, but what the parking plan was, when you register your unit. We want to know how many parking spaces you have, you know. So that's-
On your lot.
On your, yeah,
Yeah.
just put the plan in, what your parking plan is, so. I think that's reasonable to request for the registration.
So tell me that one again. I guess I wasn't following along with the parking.
Yeah, I had included in the registration form. Where the owner would give a description and a number of parking spaces that would be associated with this property.
Okay.
I also suggested that as a sort of a good neighbor note, that would be the information that you can include with information you give to the neighbors, which would probably be optional. If you wanted to be a good neighbor, you can hand out this information with your contact information. If you didn't want it to go through security, maybe they can contact you directly. Optional.
Do
Okay.
you think it might be worthwhile to change parking plan to off-street parking plan?
Oh, that sort of implies that off-street parking is okay. I prefer that they kept it on their property.
That's what I'm saying, off-street.
Oh, off-street, yeah, yeah.
But
Anthony, did you have a point?
Well, I mean, this goes back to our other thing. I guess what is so let's say I fill this form out and I say, I've got 6 parking places, room for 6. What is the board going to do with that? I just don't want to get fined if someone comes by and says, well, I looked at it and it only looks like 4 to me. So now I'm going to fine you because you didn't register properly.
I don't think there'd be a fine associated with that. I mean, that's just information that would be helpful. There's no fines attached to any of this.
Well, I thought we were talking about a fine if you don't fill out the registration, I
You
guess.
don't fill it out if you don't register.
If you don't register and pay your registration fee.
But if you leave something blank, I don't think there's like a $25 fee for each blank you leave.
I just want to make sure I don't want to agree to some bureaucratic nightmare here.
No, I totally agree with you there.
And even if, you know, I know that people will say, well, the people who live here park on, you know, easements or parking places that aren't on their lot. But I don't think that means
Can't
that
count
we,
it.
what was that?
You can't count on that.
Right, and I think it's not a bad thing to just kind of reiterate that point in the STR owner's mind that they're expected to make sure that their people are parking in all the right places.
Yeah, I
And
think
to
a lot
be
of these
considerate
things
of your neighbors.
So
I think a lot of these things we're talking about are just to sort of
Yeah.
keep it in people's mind. This is what we prefer. You're not gonna get a fine just because.
Yeah.
because correct me if I'm wrong. We currently allow parking off-street for no more than up to 72 hours, as long as your wheels are completely off the pavement. I mean, I know that because I have people. Either they park there every night or they, move them every day, or some of them have been sitting there for God only knows how long.
Well, that's what I
So
mean.
how are
though,
we
is-
gonna enforce that?
That's what I just said, though, I don't think it's,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily about enforcement as much as it is a reminder to STR owners. That there are expectations for their guests, not that we're necessarily gonna come and check I mean, we wouldn't have any way of checking the cars anyway, but I don't
So
think
are-
it's bad to say,
no.
hey.
And remember, I'm not a pro STR person. Sorry, Anthony. But I also don't think that the law will allow us to put different restrictions on homeowners who choose to rent their house out than we put on our.
We're just asking them how many parking spaces they have. That doesn't seem,
Okay. So,
nobody said anything about fines.
but that's how much they're determined, how much they think their garage plus driveway
Yeah,
plus any additional parking pad could permit.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many Airbnbs or any other short-term rentals I've had where they were really specific about parking things, like really specific, like. You can put 2 cars here, but not if they're too big, and if it encroaches over 2 inches into my neighbor's yard, there, there's
But
gonna be a
that's the
problem. And
homeowner.
I know, but what I'm
restrictions.
saying is that I think a lot of our residents don't. They don't really keep in mind how their parking affects the people around them, and I would think, at least with the short-term renter people, we would want to just put that in their head. Hey, it's not good neighbor for you to rent out your house, have 4 cars in your parking spaces and 4 more parked in front of your neighbor's houses, even if they're legally there. I don't know.
Right, I mean, like, it wouldn't be good for me to park my car every night in front of.
No, I would never.
The
park in
neighborhood.
front of you
I
either.
think people
I
need
asked
to
them
be
if I could,
reminded
they said,
that
yeah.
a lot of people
Seriously?
probably think that if there's a space right in front of your house, that's your space. It's not, it's
Yeah.
everybody's space still, so I think maybe just a reminder in there with this would be helpful. Don't count on that being your parking space.
We have to wrap.
All right, we gotta get
Yeah.
going soon.
Maybe like, what, 4 minutes?
Where, do you all think we are at this point?
I think we need to get something over to the,
Yeah.
we need, so, cause if anything, if we want anything. Any changes are gonna have to be made to our bylaws. If anything is going to need to go. Out to anybody, we need to get that in. To N and E.
Yeah,
But
I
there
mean,
are
we're
things
like,
can
we have
do-
weeks.
There are things we can do prior to.
Mhm.
changes in
Cause pretty
bylaws.
much if it's just like the registration, that's really. Up to an admin to.
so
To
you think
do
we
it
should
for
sort of
us.
get that in front of them and see if.
I think we need to get, I think we probably need to put it on the agenda for a discussion. I don't know if we can amend the agenda, tomorrow, it doesn't look, we don't have any financials tomorrow night. Right?
That seems awfully.
That's quick.
That means Daniel has put it all ready and be ready. to-
Yeah, I think that if we could.
No, I mean, just to talk and
I
get
don't
the
think
feeling.
I personally do not think the agenda should ever be amended after it's published unless it's a critical thing, because people are coming or not coming to meetings based on what they already saw on the agenda.
Yeah, I think there's stuff we can do
We could do it.
without the board at this point. Just talk to admin and talk to,
What entity has to do with this?
well, he does a lot of.
Just
reach.
giving him ideas.
Yeah.
Lori, I have a question for you. I never really thought about this before, but I know there was just a discussion about changing the pool rules. So what is the?
That was kind of. We had. If it's a change in our rules, I mean, I think he has some leeway. I don't know exactly even why we didn't.
Maybe-
Purchasing something that was like $400 too.
Yeah.
And he didn't need to, it was just a courtesy.
Okay.
You can just do it on his own, so, you can just do. Or sometimes he just likes to ask for permission, not
Always
that
good
he
to
implemented
see
it
why
without
it-
backing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious. 'Cause I wondered if.
I don't like that
Well,
rule either, but we don't have a choice.
Dude,
But-
here,
but we
just
don't
that whole discussion in there.
like and don't like and things that we can and can't do.
Okay, so those, yeah. We're done.
Well, then we're done.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.